value asset on the part of the social platform in improving to the highest possible degree the quality in which that platform is used. Because if what's transparent within the algorithm is rewarding more genuine use of the application in a way that facilitates greater degrees of depth in message, higher quality in relation to content or conversation, that can be extremely valuable to everybody using it, and it improves the quality of the platform in its entirety. And I wonder if that's kind of the intention behind making the algorithm transparent, is to find where that, I guess you could call it, sweet spot is in seeing the ways in which people act to game the algorithm with its current iteration, seeing how that perpetuates low-quality content or communication or connection, and then phasing those aspects out in favor of experimenting with potential algorithm changes through that transparency that make the way in which we as users engage with this platform higher quality overall.
It's interesting. It's an interesting point, Justin. First of all, thank you for your kind words. I've been following you for a while. You got a great newsletter. People sign up for Justin's newsletter. It's awesome. It's interesting because that's a question that comes up a lot, which is if everyone knows the rules of the game, won't it just create a whole bunch of shitty content because everyone will be doing the same thing? I think that probably in the short term, yes. Like right when they started monetizing impressions and people are getting paid on impressions, all of a sudden you've seen people just engagement farm and send out bullshit all day in order to get as many impressions as possible. And I think what you've seen over the past month or so is that kind of died down because the cream is rising to the top. The higher quality content is rising to the top. People are not a fan of that kind of shitty content anymore just because it's being rewarded by impressions. And so I do have faith that even if the rules were exposed, which the rules have been exposed to a degree, I've written many threads on the algorithm, and a lot of what I talk about is right now multimedia is being rewarded greatly. If you have multimedia such as images or video, it's getting big boosts in the algorithm. It's obvious why, right? It keeps your eyes longer on the content. So people are, quote-unquote, gaming this by stuffing their content with as many images as possible. If they have, you know, a really ugly, shitty cartoon NFT as their profile picture, they'll get, you know, paintings of it doing random things in the wild. Say, hey, look at my NFT doing real-life things. Kind of creepy. But people are doing this in order to, you know, boost their views because apparently media gets it more. But I think what you're seeing over time is that weird, creepy NFT content is starting to die down a bit. So it's interesting, you know, if all the rules are out there, do people start gaming the system? I'm not so sure about that. We have Action on stage. Action, how you doing, man? Do you think if the rules were exposed to the algo, it'd start creating a whole bunch of gaming of the system?
I mean, that is Google's primary take. Why they keep it private, right? They say that they're going to have more spammers and more copycats. So they lock down all their algorithm when you're doing searches, that SEO, like it's king. And we were talking about this when Elon was making the algorithm public. That's, well, at least the things that he made public, not the databases with all the banned words and all those things. So we are over here going, we want more, you know, transparency. But ultimately, we need to figure out what's actually going to work. And I will tell you three things. First, that fly racket really works. I have 2 of them, and I love it. The Bug Assault is the name of the gun. It is fantastic. I've played with it. Don't have one myself, but I've gifted to others. Now, third.
Does that get salt all over the place, though? I want it because I like the idea of having, like, a shotgun in my house that I can use to kill flies. But will that get salt all over my apartment?
Yes, but it's so little that it won't bother you. So you can give it a shot. As long as you're not firing over and over again in the same spot, you're good. Now, if you're a little lazy, there is a third option, which is not as good, doesn't work as well, but it's a little bit entertaining. It's a fly fan, which sucks them in and keeps them there until they basically starve to death. Hopefully...
I got that as well. I got that on my kitchen table. That's like the little fruit flies, though. That gets the little fruit flies in. But for the big, juicy ones, I use this racket, which I'm telling you, you hit it with the racket, it's like fireworks in your apartment. The thing explodes.
I got a message from a representative at PETA, and they said they won't be sponsoring your space, but they appreciate you reaching out and asking.
Well, first of all, I'm not offering PETA sponsorship space. If you look up top, is my application for Trader Joe's to sponsor this space. My entire refrigerator and freezer is filled with their food. Trader Joe's, please, if you're listening, you know what? I'll give you this one for free. This space is sponsored by Trader Joe's. So I'll give you this one for free.
Nice. So,
who's abusing the board? Shut up. All right.
let me finish that thought real quick, NFT God.
Go ahead.
I just said dead fly, and, that word dead, and I'm just bringing it back. I mean, we're all bound by the algorithm. So we got crackers with WWE matches, for example. We got throw yourself in the fire. You got shooting yourself in the foot. Now we can talk about dead fly.
Bro, you're going to get me shadow banned. Cool it.
I'll throw in the accent so they can't transcribe it right. But here's the thing. I think that X is really going to take off when new layers are implemented. I love what people are talking about, having real humans look at this thing. And I think it's the future. I think it's what needs to happen. However, you can't scale a business that fast with that many people. It's just not, not scalable. Let's be serious. So once Elon decides to implement even basic AI reasoning to look at those, posts and say, hey, is this just, a way that people talk, or are they actually being violent? That's going to change the game. So you have that basic layer of AI reasoning going, hey, is this really violent or not? Instead of just relying on the algorithm. And next, you can have the community, and then next you can have that real, the real human review if you really, really need it. But it's going to be a layered system. There's going to have to be more than just a basic algorithm for people to win. And the best example I can give you of it is Google's new AI-powered search results. They are, the ones that started the whole algorithm thing for searches, and now they're going on to the AI route. Are they plagiarizing news sites? Absolutely. But, hey, some hurdles you got to overcome.
That's a really interesting point. He is building out XAI, which he said would be tightly integrated with X, obviously. That could be a really interesting way to do content moderation, is through AI. Open source the AI so we can see what it's determining to be naughty or good. That could be interesting. Brian, I want to throw it to you. Just for the record, for everyone here, I give you question prompts when I throw it to you just to keep the conversation flowing. If you don't feel like answering the question I'm throwing to you, you can just take it in a totally different direction. I don't care. I'm just throwing you the prompt to keep it flowing good. So, Brian, would implementing AI as moderation be an interesting way to handle a lot of the issues that's going on right now, or are there other solutions you can think of?
Yeah, I think that AI could really do a decent job. I mean, it probably won't be perfect out of the gate, but even if you take a tweet that might have gotten somebody shadow banned that really wasn't bad, and you just pasted it into ChatGPT and said, is this offensive? I bet it would do a pretty decent job at determining if it is. So, just having an AI bot that basically, if somebody reports content or if it's flagged as being bad, it can just quickly review it. I think that would go a long way in making things a little bit less intensive for the staff at X. But yeah, I don't think it would be. I think it would definitely be helpful. Something else I was going to say is with the algorithm. I mentioned this before in other spaces, and I kind of compared it to Twitter's algorithm today to maybe Google's algorithms in 2007 or 8, where most SEO experts could pretty easily game Google's search results. You needed page rank, you needed backlinks from high page rank websites, and a variety of other variables were in play. But if you were to try and really get a page to move up in search results for competitive keywords today, it's nearly impossible. Yeah, over the long run, maybe you can boost it a little bit, but the reason is Google's algorithms have gotten so good that they are basically able to determine what content is the best for that search string. So I think that's where Twitter's headed, where the algorithm's not going to be as easy to game as it might be right now. It's just the good content, the solid content that really, really, I think, fits the user that's either searching or just viewing the For You feed. I think that's just going to bubble to the top. And even if they do release what the algorithms are, I think it's going to be so complicated and have so many variables and also include machine learning that it's going to be difficult really to game it besides just creating really good content.
At the end of the day, it's very hard to game. You can game an algorithm, but it's hard to game people, right? No matter what you game, you're not going to game me into pressing like on your tweet or your post. I get 3 strikes on your post. And so, like, I don't care how much time you put up shitty content in front of my face. That doesn't mean I'm going to press like on your post. And so I feel like there's only... Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, and comparing Google not releasing the algorithm to X, I feel it's a little bit different. It's kind of like comparing apples to oranges, because what Google's doing, what you're looking for in Google is basically static websites. Any tweet, it only really lasts for 2 days max, right? So if you're trying to game Google and you have the algorithm, it's a lot easier to have a long game and say, okay, these are all the variables. Over the course of the next 5 months, I'm going to really bring my website to the top and game this algorithm. But if you know the algorithm on X, it might be good for each individual post, but overall, if everybody's has the algorithm, it's just going to be the solid content that wins out ultimately, I think.
I think that's a really good point. I think it is apples to oranges, right? Google is just trying to put the most relevant content in front of you. It's not based much else other than the backlinks and things like that. Reputation here, likes, retweets, replies have a lot to do with it as well. And it's very hard to gain people unless you bait them with some sort of content to get them to like and retweet and all this stuff. So it is apples and oranges. Do you agree with that, Penny? Are they 2 different things, apples and oranges?
You got it, man.
Side note, I wish I could record with my camera while I'm doing this space. I think it cuts out the audio if I start recording my camera, because I got another big fly. I'm so close. I wish I could show you guys what happens when I kill this fly with this racket, because it is an absolute... I wish I had an affiliate link up.
Why do you have so many flies?
I live in a 300-year-old building in Brooklyn right now, and there's just holes all over the place, and there's just cockroaches and flies and bugs that crawl out of every hole. I pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month for this overpriced piece of shit apartment, but I guess that's what you get when you live in New York City, right?
Gotta write some more threads, bro. Get that X money coming in.
Bro, if you saw how much time a day I spend writing fucking threads to get my $50 check. There's no more threads can be written. No one's written more threads than me. Anyway, I distracted again. Penny, what's up?
Yeah, I do think it's apples to oranges, and I wouldn't trust what Google says in terms of why they don't share their algorithm. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said they'd get copycats. Not that I would be worried at all about, people gaming the system. I think transparency, people are so worried about people gaming the system. People are always going to game the system. If there are more eyes on the algorithm, you can make a more robust algorithm that's more difficult to game, and I think that that's a really important fact. Before I go, I just want to thank you for hosting this space. My friends showed up at lunch here, and I got to run. But NFT God, you put out the best content. Love you. Thank you. Everyone in this room is awesome. See you guys soon.
I love you too. Before you go, what are you eating for lunch?
I haven't ordered yet. I sat down at a nice new restaurant that I've never visited. It's called Gravity Heights here in San Diego. I'll give it a shout out if it's open later.
All right. If anyone's in San Diego, go to Gravity Heights right now and harass everyone until you find Penny. All right?
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Where were we? Justin Scott, I'm going to throw it over to you to recover the conversation.
Yeah, brother, I appreciate it. This is more of a speculation in regards to potential future avenues that social algorithms as a whole could potentially take, and this is predicated on what Action was saying in regards to AI implementation and getting into a place where we have layered algorithms that raises the question, do we possibly see a world where algorithms become more nuanced and individualized relative to specific creators, either those creators individually or creators within kind of, I guess you could say, collective buckets relative to topics of interest, type of media that they're posting, the ways in which they're engaging with their audience, et cetera. And so you get away from a social platform that has kind of a catch-all algorithm for every user on that platform, and you get more into a variety of nuanced algorithms that work in conjunction with each other relative to specific aspects and elements of particular users and their content. Granted, I don't know if that's too complex to even conceptualize.
That is too complex to even conceptualize, I'll tell you that.
Well, see, and I think that that's probably the case. But then I think in terms of the advancements that come with AI and what we would consider to be too complex today very well may not be within a decade or less, right? And so, like, this is the kind of consideration, too. It is too complex for humans to be able to facilitate, but as the AI technology continues to advance and integrate further and further into these platforms, it could be simple as for those models to be able to facilitate something like that. Now, whether or not that would create a better user experience in any meaningful capacity, I have no idea, but I could very easily see a world where our advancement with this technology gets to a point where you can have more personalized algorithms and more, like kind of a greater number nodes, I guess you could say, within that greater algorithm. Again, this is like pure speculation. I have no idea if this would even benefit, but it is an interesting line of thinking to take that conversation.
I think I need a master's in physics to understand how that would work. Algorithms within algorithms. No, I appreciate it. Jesse, we haven't talked in a while. You usually say really interesting things when you talk on Spaces, so a lot of pressure here to say interesting things. Do you think that including AI in moderation and how the platform works could improve the use of the app?
I mean, I wouldn't.
And feel free to skip the question.
No, I wouldn't oppose it. I mean, I'm of the view that, so the reason I think decentralized social media will never work, I know it will never work, is because content moderation is basically not possible. It's almost like mathematically not possible. You have to constantly be fine-tuning the algorithm for what it's worth, and that has to be done by some sort of centralized or regulatory authority. It's not done at scale. If it's done at scale, it's direct democracy, and we know that that's not really the most efficient way of doing things. So I think anything like Friendtech or anything like that is DOA. And if you don't believe me, ask anybody who works at Google.
I think the Friendtech CEO is in the audience.
It's not just Friendtech. It's not a Friendtech at all, actually. Friendtech can be something else besides social media, but Friendtech has been seen as like one of the more early successful, I think, proto, decentralized social media kind of applications that people have been kind of pining for a while. Everybody that's in the cancel cultural world, that's a big part of Web3. I know this isn't a Web3 space specifically, but so I think decentralized media is DOA. I think people don't realize how hard it is to do content moderation. Not hard, like literally I think impossible, because just, again, you don't have to ask me, ask anybody that's done it. You think Google and Twitter, you think these people don't have the best engineers on the planet? They literally, if you say, okay, let's get the best engineers and an unlimited source of money, like they have that and they can't do it. Like it can't be done. I don't think Elon can do it either. I mean, any rule, there's like this good art law. Anytime you make a measurement, it basically gets gamed and it stops being a good measurement. So I'm not sure. I would probably go with AI. I think AI at least is probably robust to testing, and it's also constantly evolving. So I definitely wouldn't be against AI, and it also kind of, you can at least have some sort of, I guess, transparency there. I'm not sure about publicly, giving away the secret sauce. But yeah, I definitely think AI is a part of that. I mean, the one thing I would object to in terms of, I've never been shadow banned. Normally I say you're not shadow banned, your content just sucks, is my general rule. But since my boy Benjamin got and he has good content, since he got shadow banned, I got to adjust that. I post crazy stuff, but I've never been shadow banned. I think me and you might be shadow banned from the morning show on the Nifty Portal. I think we both got shadow banned.
I'm shocked that you haven't been shadow banned, Jesse. That's kind of surprising to me.
But I know. I tried to get shadow banned. I couldn't even do it. Maybe I got to look closer at the algorithm like you. But the only one other comment I would make about there's this common refrain which you put in your thread that freedom of speech is not freedom of reach. And at first I was like, oh, that's genius, you know what I mean? You're a racist or whatever. You have content that I think is abhorrent. Like, okay, yeah, you don't deserve to have freedom of reach. But that, I have done a 180 on that, and I would encourage you and others to consider that, because in a world of social media, it's like saying you and your political opponent can both speak, but one gets the bullhorn and the other doesn't. Like, reach. And that, or like say I post some political content, you post the opposite NFT God. I reach 5 people because of the algorithm, because, Elon Musk doesn't like what I'm saying about feminism or SpaceX, and you reach 5 million people. at that point, quantity kind of does equal quality. So I would, and I think in a world of social media where virality is a big part of our speech and what we want, it's what the purpose of posting on social media can be, right? Just as often to highlight voices that are maybe marginalized. I think at best, like we like that, whether you think you're, you could be MAGA or it could be like Black Lives Matter. Everybody thinks they're marginalized, right? So I think I would just encourage people to revisit that assumption because I was a big believer. I was like, that sounds genius. And now I think if the algorithm doesn't let you reach who you want, then it's basically not really the same freedom of speech. So I hope that was interesting enough for you, NFT guy.
I think you've got enough terms in there that probably got me shadow banned just from coming on the stage and saying those terms. So, Jesse, I thank you for coming up and at least doing that. Josh Robert Ney, you were unmuted for 90% of Jesse's speech there, and I heard you breathing. You sound like you're a good breather. It sounds like the nasal passages are all clear. So props to you on that. But I want to throw it to you. Is freedom of speech but not freedom of reach, is that a contradictory statement? Well, now you can't.
Yeah, sorry about that. For some reason, when I try to go on as a speaking role, my phone defaults from speakerphone to just regular phone mode, so I can't hear anything unless it holds up to my face, and unfortunately, that can tap the mic on accident. So I apologize for that.
Self-shadow banned, NFT guy.
That's self-moderation. I love that. That's responsible.
Yeah.
Josh, let's get into your spicy hot take. Is freedom of speech and freedom of reach the same thing, or is it contradictory?
I think in a way it is definitely contradictory because, I mean, where I feel they need to concentrate more is, I know the word about advertising, right? I think that's like the core. Sorry if you can hear my dogs. They're going crazy because my wife just got home. But anyway, I think the advertising is the core reason why they want freedom of speech but not freedom of reach. And my take is, why not just not show ads on things you don't like? I mean, let people let that reach happen. Let people get their viewpoints out there, and and leave the reach alone. But just don't show ads there if it's something that you feel is not good for the platform. I just don't see. I don't see the point. You don't
think they should dock people's reach? I say something absolutely wild, insane in the membrane. You don't think they should dock that? You think everyone should see it?
No, I don't think they should. And the thing is, if you're going to out yourself as like a jerk or an asshole or whatever, or a racist or whatever, if you're going to out yourself, fine, go ahead and do that. But just don't expect to be able to monetize from that. Let people have that freedom of speech. Let people out themselves as that kind of a person, but don't suppress it because basically, in my opinion, at least, I feel like that is it's flying directly against, in the face of freedom of speech.
So I was on a podcast the other day, and it was a pretty left-leaning, I'm left-leaning, but it was a very left-leaning podcast. And they accused me of basically accepting blood money from Elon Musk because I got paid by X. And they said that X is a Ponzi scheme. They're making you pay $8 so you can monetize. I mean, I tried explaining to them that I was a paid member before they even monetized anything because of the actual utility that's offered by the $8 a month. But they were basically saying, so you're saying don't push any content down. They were saying push all hateful content completely down and ban people. So I feel that it is what Elon's doing is kind of this happy medium approach. I actually get your side more than I get the far left interpretation of it because I am pretty adamant on free speech. But I feel that by allowing people to post and then also allowing those who follow that person to see that content, they do have the freedom of speech. Maybe it's being pushed down by algorithms, but without using if you're going to complain about that, then you might as well say there should be no algorithms at all, and it just should be kind of like 4chan, right? So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I think if they're going to expect to be a company that actually can turn a profit or at least stay alive, they need to have some sort of implementation of some sort of, I don't want to say censorship, but I guess it is a sort of pseudo censorship in that your reach is being kind of pushed down, even though you are allowed to speak.
Action, do you agree with that? Or you think, the moderation is necessary? And do you think that X is a giant Ponzi scheme created by Elon Musk?
I mean, there's blood money involved, right? So obviously, why wouldn't it be? No, but in all seriousness, I think that both Brian and Penny, going back to a little bit of what else they said that you can't compare X to Google. It's potato and, here's the way I look at it. It's potato, tomato. Doesn't matter. You can, because everyone is talking about this algorithm is an algorithm. Google is doing it right now. And usually I charge for this. This is how I make money on the side. I've been doing marketing for 20 years. But since I know there's over 1,000 people that already bought your stuff, NFT guide, I'm going to hook it up for free. So to treat everyone that already purchased your master course, here's the deal. There are algorithms within Google that you can actually take advantage of right now. I've done this for multiple people. At the very top, you have little bubbles that says images, videos, news, and all those sorts of things. That right there, those you can monetize the crap out of it. You can get your images, you can get your videos to be listed up top. And the original SEO still works within those parameters. It's just knowing how to take advantage of it. The same thing with the cards that pop up on the right side of the screen. That still works. So you do have algorithms within algorithms happening right now that still can be gamed, and people are doing it. People pay me to do it. So it exists. So when I say that we need the AI implementation so that we can have better moderation, that's where I'm coming from, is because I see this happening every single day. And, Brian, I'm going to give Penny 2X a pass because Gravity Heights is a great brewery in Torrey Pines, but you're going on Pro Censorship Podcast and taking blood money from Elon, man? I don't know if I can support you anymore.
I need to move to San Diego, man. New York City sucks. Let's do a quick review of New York City. Never lived here. It's pointless. It's over-expensive. It's stressful. There's literally no positives whatsoever. I have the fear of getting my ass kicked every time I walk outside, and I pay $3,500 a month to do that. Why am I doing that? I don't know. Penny is the smartest one in this room, moving to San Diego and hanging out at breweries at noon on a fucking Wednesday. That's my quick New York City review. Miley, I want to throw it to you. Have you ever been in New York City? Does it suck as much as I think it sucks? What's the level of moderation we need here?
I have been to New York City. It's great to visit, but it's also really great to leave. I can't imagine living in the concrete jungle, so good for you. I'm also an avid gardener, so I need space to grow food. If I had to live in a concrete jungle, it would not end well. Level of moderation, interesting. So I joined Blue Sky very on. It was, that project run by Jack. It was actually funded by Twitter during Twitter 1.0, and they were trying to do true blockchain, free 4chan style social media, and it looks fast. The nasty of the bad came out, and it got really bad really fast. So you have to have some sort of moderation. Humans, I don't know what our problem is, but we just can't have nice things. We just can't have a totally open social media platform without some a-hole coming in and ruining it. Also, NFT God, I don't know why you have Marjorie as your co-host. She talks too much. You should probably do a mute on her mic.
This is my issue. I bring up people like Marjorie, no disrespect, Congresswoman. Bring up people like Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene. I bring up people like Greg. I bring up people like Elon Musk parody. And they just don't shut the fuck up at any point. It's learn to use the mute button, right? Marjorie, every time I turn on C-SPAN, you're just going on and on and on and on. And I'm here, you bring it to the space as well. Can we find a middle ground?
That Elon guy you had on the other day too, he just talks too much. I don't think you need to have him on either.
It's insufferable, in my opinion. Sarah, we got Sarah Sarah, last time we talked, you only love dogs. We're talking again, and you still only love dogs. How's that been going for you?
I will only forever love dogs because, like Miley said, people ruin everything, but